Stop listening to the prepper influencers wearing tactical gear they can't afford. They talk about bunkers built into mountainsides. That's fantasy. They never talk about Tuesday afternoon. They never talk about the panic that hits when the grid fails and your neighbors look hungry. Your apartment is not a fortress. It is a paper bag waiting to be ripped open. And you need to change that. Fast. Today, we are turning your standard bedroom into a hard point against 10 determined aggressors. 10 people. That is the absolute maximum. It could be a gang, a desperate family, or the quick ones that shamble. It doesn't matter what they are. They all respond to leverage and pain. We are doing this for under $400. 10 million Vietnamese dong, if you needed the conversion. That is the only budget you get. If you can't afford that, you are already dead. This isn't about deep concrete and blast doors. It's about time. It's about delay. It's about making them expend more energy on your door than they would on your neighbor's. Survival is a competition, and you must be a worse investment than the next target. First, understand the physics of failure. Your biggest vulnerability is not the wall. It is the door. It is always the door. Standard residential doors are hollow core or weak solid core. They are designed to be beautiful, not to stop an axe. They fail at 2 points, the lock and the frame. We address the lock first. Forget the deadbolt itself. The bolt is often strong enough. The problem is the strike plate, that tiny, thin piece of metal screwed into the soft wood of the door frame. That plate fails in milliseconds under pressure. It is shear failure. It is leverage failure. Go to the hardware store. You are buying 4-inch deck screws, not 1 inch, not 2 inch, 4 inches. Remove the existing 1-inch screws from your strike plate. They are cosmetic. Replace them immediately with the 4-inch screws. These must bite directly into the structural framing studs inside the wall. This is not optional. This is mandatory. Do the same for the hinge side. Your door is only as strong as the weakest hinge screw. Replace the top and bottom hinge screws on the frame side with 4-inch deck screws. Again, they must anchor into the stud. This immediately multiplies your door's tensile strength by 300%. Cost so far? Maybe $15. Now the barricade. The amateur uses a chair wedge or a broomstick. That works until the aggressor starts kicking low. We need absolute non-negotiable stoppage. You need a door security bar. But we're not paying $50 for a fancy store-bought one. We are building the hardware into the frame. Purchase 2 heavy-duty metal U-brackets or strap hangers. They must be wide enough to accommodate a standard 2x4 piece of lumber. Install one bracket about 12 inches up from the floor, firmly on the frame, securing it with those 4-inch screws. Install the second one 6 inches down from the top of the door frame. Now buy a pressure-treated 2x4. Cut it to fit exactly across the width of the door. Drill 2 clearance holes into the 2x4. These holes must align precisely with the U-brackets. When locked down, you slide the 2x4 into the brackets, forming a temporary horizontal steel bar across the door. This distributes the impact force across the entire frame, hitting the load-bearing studs. Nobody is kicking through that easily. Total cost for brackets and lumber, $25. Your primary defense is now robust. But what if the aggressors bring tools? What if they try to saw through the door itself? If you have the money, buy a sheet of galvanized sheet steel, thin gauge, and screw it directly onto the interior face of your door. If you don't have the money, look for scrap wood. Plyboard is excellent. Screw layers of plyboard onto the interior face of the door. We are adding bulk and frustrating their tools. A saw is useless against layers of screws and glue. This is psychological warfare, remember? They must feel the resistance immediately. Let's pivot to the walls. Assuming you are in an apartment or modern home, your walls are drywall. They are useless. A desperate man can punch through drywall, but walls are usually not the primary entry point unless they bring heavy equipment. We focus on sound discipline. Every sound you make is an invitation. Every sound is tactical intelligence for them. Do you have rugs or blankets? Cover the floor immediately. Sound waves travel through the air, yes, but vibrations travel through the structure. Soundproof the asterisk vibes asterisk. Hang heavy blankets, moving pads, or mattresses against the thin walls and, critically, against the ceiling and floor junction. This dampens noise and prevents thermal visibility if they have gear. Moving on to the secondary weak point. The window. Windows are glass. Glass shatters. Blocking the window completely is a mistake. Why? Because you sacrifice visibility and ventilation. You need to know what is happening outside. Purchase plywood sheets. Cut them to fit the window frame exactly. Do not screw them in permanently. We want quick deployment. Cut the plywood so it only covers the asterisk lower half asterisk of the window. This protects you from stray bullets or thrown objects targeting your torso level while you are crouched. It still allows you to observe from a low, protected vantage point. Drill small, finger-sized holes near the top edge of the plywood. When you deploy it, you can look through those holes without exposing your eye line. This is the difference between a bunker and a coffin. We need to discuss ventilation immediately. If you block all airflow, you will suffocate, or worse, be poisoned by carbon monoxide. CO is the silent killer that finishes the job the aggressors couldn't. If you are using any improvised heating, alcohol stoves, or even excessive candle usage, you need a monitor. Buy a cheap CO detector. It is $50. It is non-negotiable. Do not skimp. Now, the vents. If your room has HVAC or floor vents, they are access points for gas, smoke, or small explosives. They are also sound conduits. Use heavy plastic sheeting or aluminum foil taped tightly over all vents during lockdown. If you need temporary airflow, crack a window for exactly 60 seconds, ideally on the opposite side of the building from where the threat is concentrated. But always assume they are watching. Always assume they know. Logistics are where most preppers fail. They prep the fun stuff, guns and ammo. They forget the disgusting stuff, water and waste. Water is your #1 resource problem in a prolonged siege. You need at least 1 gallon per person per day. Your emergency supply will run out. So you must access the asterisk system asterisk. If you have a connected bathroom, your toilet tank contains potable water. It is clean water separated from the bowl. Open the tank. Siphon it out carefully. Do not drink the bowl water. Ever. If you need storage, buy 5-gallon plastic buckets with lids. These buckets are dual purpose. Purpose 1, storing water from the toilet tank. Purpose 2, waste management. Human waste is a serious problem in a sealed environment. It creates odor, which attracts attention. It creates disease, which kills you slower than a bullet, but just as certainly. Line the buckets with heavy-duty garbage bags. Use sawdust, kitty litter, or even dry dirt to cover the waste immediately after use. Seal the lid tightly. This is critical. Do not let the smell leave the room. It tells them you are in there. It tells them you are surviving, and that makes you a higher priority. Let's talk about the 10 intruders. You cannot fight 10 people head-on. Your goal is not elimination. It is discouragement. It is attrition. This is where high IQ defensive tactics come into play. Lighting is your weapon. Total darkness is your advantage, not theirs. They expect you to light up the room. They expect to see you. Acquire powerful small LED flashlights. Keep them low and focused. If they breach the door bar, you want to use sudden, blinding light flashes aimed directly at their eyes. Disorientation is your force multiplier. If they try to reach through a partially open door or window, aim your light, then strike the exposed limb hard and fast. Weapons in this scenario are tools of opportunity. If you have firearms, that is ideal. If you don't, your reinforced 2x4 barricade wood is now a heavy club. Screwdrivers are exceptional stabbing weapons when reinforced with duct tape for a handle. Everything is a weapon when survival is on the line. Every piece of furniture is an obstacle. Every trip hazard increases their time on target. Scatter heavy objects just inside the door threshold. If they manage to kick through, they trip. If they trip, they delay. If they delay, they become a target. Understand the power of psychological warfare. If you have access to a small megaphone or even just strong lungs, use sound to amplify your perceived strength. Don't beg, don't plead, be cold, be calculating. Shout tactical commands as if you have a team. Cover the flank, reloading. Even if you are alone, they need to believe they are facing 4 defenders, not one terrified individual. If they test your defenses, let them pay a high price for the information. If they send one person, incapacitate that one person without mercy. Leave the body where the others can see it. This sends a message that the cost of entry is too high. Psychology dictates that the 7th or 8th attacker will start to reconsider their commitment. They will look at the corpse and look at their friends. That moment of hesitation is your window. We have reinforced the door, obscured the windows, managed the air, and created sound discipline. Now, the exit strategy. Because you cannot stay there forever. Bunkers are temporary. They are not homes. Your escape route must be pre-planned and rehearsed. Is there a back window? Is there an emergency access panel? Keep a small, specialized escape kit ready. Minimal food, water, a multi-tool, and cash or barter items. When the siege lifts, or when the aggressors retreat to lick their wounds, you leave. You do not linger. You do not pack souvenirs. You move. And finally, the most advanced tactic of all, discipline. You must ration everything. Ration water, ration light, ration movement. If you are trapped for days, boredom and fear will be your enemies. Combat them with calculated routine. Check the door bar. Check the air filter. Check the water supply. Always be busy. Always be ready. Your $400 didn't buy you security. It bought you time. It bought you leverage. It bought you the right to choose the terms of the fight. 10 intruders against an unprepared room is an open invitation. 10 intruders against your newly hardened defensive position is an attrition war. And attrition favors the prepared mind. It favors the survivor who thinks in inches, not miles. Welcome to the new world. Good luck, prepper. You'll need it.